Malaysia's most intense political campaign in decades reaches a climax. Will the ruling Barisan Nasional coalition maintain its stronghold? Or will the opposition Pakatan Rakyat alliance make further inroads?
Both sides are claiming to have an edge over the other.
Catch the dramatic conclusion live with Channel News Asia correspondents reporting from crucial battleground states. Malaysia decides the results. Sunday at these times. Exclusively on Channel News Asia.
A single conversation to cut stress in schools. But do the grown-ups know what kids are stressed about?
Sometimes people...
Malaysia today is shaping up very differently from 2008. In radical and far-reaching changes over the past 5 years, the BN government has abolished the Internal Security Act and constructed reforms that allow university students to actively engage in politics. One clear outcome of these concessions has been the emergence of a more active and politically conscious electorate, with the middle ground being more vocal and involved than ever before. This middle ground constitutes 30% of the electorate, the biggest in the history of Malaysia's elections. They comprise not just the youth, but also the urban middle class, which includes entrepreneurial, well-educated professionals who are looking out for their economic well-being.
Both sides underestimated the importance of the urban middle class, because traditionally the urban middle class in Malaysia tend to shy away from general elections. But this was not the case in 2008. They came out very strongly in 2008 and they took a big role, especially in urban areas like Subanjaya, Petaling Jaya, where they play a key role in opposition taking over many of these seats. The reasons for that are very simple. Things that worry the middle class are things like the future of the country, the governance system, the corruptions, and also things like the quality of life, things like human rights, these sort of issues.
I think it's not about just change versus status quo. I think it's change versus transformation. You know, our country has changed and moved forward from what it was since independence. Certainly, nobody can deny the change is happening. Nobody can deny that things are different from today than what it was many years ago or even yesterday, right? But to put it as a total change and say, how are we going to change? Or we're going to improve on some of the policies, we're going to maintain some of the policies, but up the rewards for that policy, it's not change, right? We are offering transformation. And the track record that Najib has shown is actually a successful transformation.
Taking a more proactive role than just casting her vote is Ambiga Srinivasan, lawyer and leader of the Bersih movement. Bersih was formed at a mass rally in 2007 to champion causes for a more transparent society, as well as free and fair elections. With a dramatic increase in the turnout at each subsequent Bersih rally, the movement has become synonymous with the evolution of civil society and democracy in Malaysia.
This yearning for change is always there. That's why you have seen Malaysians who have never come up before, willing to march and face the terrors of the tear gas to demand real change. They do not want to see their children being deprived of the same rights that they had been denied over the last 50 years. I think that is the better Malaysia of tomorrow.
There is no way that you can prevent people expressing their views. And the civil society movements, I think following the universal trend in Malaysia, will follow suit. But the only thing that we want to be sure is that, democracy is a two-edged sword. You do not want it to be to the detriment of the society. We have allowed that space, but that space of freedom must be exercised with responsibility. Say you have demonstration, okay, fine, you want to express your view, but that is not the way for toppling government or trying to oust government. It's a way of expressing your views.
With Bersih 3.0 attracting record crowds of over 200,000 people, Ambiga feels the country has reached a tipping point where electoral reform is imminent. However, as a politically neutral organization whoever wins is irrelevant to her cause. Her aim is for political players on both sides to live up to citizen demands.
At the end of the day, we're not really concerned about who wins, who is the winner at the end of the day. We are concerned about the process. And if a clean process results in one party being elected over another, so be it, because that reflects the will of the people. So at the end of the day, I think it is important for us to remain non-partisan and really at the end of the day to just push for the system to be improved.
I would say that civil society has made a lot of progress in the last 3 years, and part of it has got to do with single issue items. So for example, Bursa is a very interesting case study. They've really galvanized the ground based on the single issue, which is electoral reform.
This maturing of civil society is evidenced with more NGOs making their presence felt in Malaysia's political landscape. But the question is, to what extent will these NGOs influence the outcome of the upcoming election?
It's difficult to say what the impact of Bursa is. All I can say is there's an awareness that people have to vote. So that's the impact. I think the numbers who turn out to vote this time are going to be greater.
We are now moving to the third stage of democracy, where democracy is not limited only to the ballot box, not limited only to parliament and to politicians. We see the emergence of think tank organizations, research groups, public intellectuals. Newspapers are now discussing politics in a more open manner, and these are, to me, indicators of the journey towards a more progressive and more mature democracy.
It will be a close fight come May 5th. From reinventing itself and its policies to going all out to catch up with the opposition on the cyber front, the incumbent BN is a government in a hurry to slow down the startling gains made by the opposition, leaving no stone unturned to win back voters and hopefully an elusive 2/3 majority in Parliament.